Hi there fabric jugglers, it's Babs here from Fiery Phoenix, and today I'm going to be filming the first of a two-part series of videos based around printing off PDF patterns and then constructing the item that they're actually relating to. So in this case I'm using a pattern for a girl's dress number 13 it's called, from the absolutely amazing E&M patterns. Allison, hi Allison. Allison has been very generous and has given us permission to use the patterns in these tutorials. So I'll pop a link to the pattern and Allison's website in the description below. And remember, the first part of the video tutorial is going to focus on how to actually print out a PDF pattern when you've been given one. What you should be checking, what you should be looking for before you print the whole thing out, and then once it has been printed, how you then assemble the pattern before you move on to cutting fabric and then making the garment. So what we're going to be doing in this video will require craft scissors, not your sewing scissors, not your dressmaker shears, your craft scissors. You'll be cutting paper. We will need sellotape, computer, paper, and obviously a printer. Now I have a pattern which has been written so that you know how many pages you've got. You can always check to see how much paper you require. I'm going to need about 15 sheets of A4 paper. So I need to go and gather those bits and bobs and then we can start printing. Speak to you in a minute. So here we have the opened PDF pattern. As you can see, these patterns have a square which shows us how the scaling has worked. We have nice clear numbers, and then there's details of the sizing lines. So we start at the bottom with size 2, size 3, size 4, size 5, 6, 7, 8 and size 10. This pattern tells us already that the seam allowance of 1/2 inch is included, and it gives us the company name, the web address and the description of the actual pattern itself. So what we do in this instance is we print off this first page to check that the 1 inch square is actually printed out as a 1 inch square. So to do that, we come over to the print icon. We check that we are printing the current page only. We check that we have one copy. We want no scaling, and we can put auto rotate and center in, or we can leave it. At the moment I'm choosing to leave it on auto rotate and center, and we'll see how that goes with our printing. And then we simply click OK to print off that first page. So once the first page is finished printing, what you need to do is take it off, and there's a 1 inch square here which I pointed out earlier, and what we need to do is measure that to make sure that it actually has printed out accurately at 1 inch square. So any tape measure will do, and as long as you haven't set your printing to scale or fit or adjust, it should print out as this has done as 1 inch square, which means we can now move on to printing out the rest of the pattern pieces. Now that we've checked our first page, we can go through and print out the remainder of the pattern quite safely, knowing that everything will size as we need it to. There are nice clear numbers showing us each and every page of the pattern that we need to print, and there are also nice helpful hints such as start a new row for when we come to assemble the pattern. The writer of this pattern, the author of this pattern, has been as helpful as possible. There's a lot of thought being put into this work. Allison has done an excellent job. Now one thing to check is that there are 15 pages of this pattern to print, so please make sure that you've got 15 pages of paper in your printer, and then go through and set to print, except we're now printing pages 2 to 15. We've already got a copy of page 1, and then everything else we keep the same. If you found that your paper size or print size didn't actually work out for the 1 inch square, that's where you would take off the auto rotate and center, so that you then remove any any sizing that might possibly have been applied, although auto rotate and centre doesn't usually apply any sizing, it just moves it to the centre of the page. And then you select print and off you go. Okay, so we now have our 15 pages of pattern, and the first thing we need to do is pull out the individual rows of pattern. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a very helpful start a new row description at the end of each row. So that was 5. I'm assuming we'll have another one around 10. And then we've got one final one at 15. So we've got 3 rows that we need to assemble. So we'll put 2 to the side and start with just the 1. And for each of these patterns, we will fold down along the grey line, because when we assemble them, this will be the grey line on the right hand side, because when we assemble them and stick them together, they will need to line up grey line to grey line. So we'll just fold one along each right hand side to make that process as smooth as possible. And we don't need to bother with the last one, so it's only on 4 sheets to begin with, for the top row on the right hand side. So that's the top row ready, so we can assemble that row, and we simply tape it together. So I'm trying to find the end of my sellotape, which is always fun. There we go. Or as Blue Peter would say, sticky tape. And what I do is I allow for 1 width of the grey all the way down. So if my folding hasn't been even, I can just even that out as I straighten it up. So I have 1 width of grey, whether the grey comes from the bottom sheet or the grey is actually showing from the top sheet. There is just a single width of that grey showing. So we just go through and complete that process for the rest of the pattern. So here we have our completed top row. And as you can see, that is going to be one side of the dress piece. So I will complete the second row, which will be attached here, and I will complete the third row, and then I'll come back and show you how we cut it out. For the second and third rows, what I'm also doing is folding down one of the side pieces, because we will be attaching those to the sides like this. So we take the bottom and we take the top and we take the right hand side and fold them down. Okay, so when you line up this side, make sure that any lines that you have coming across this way, they all match up. And piece up as much as you can. Onto the last row. And again, we will match along the top, along the right hand side. So that's where we're going to make our fold. Don't allow any wrinkles or ruffles as I just did there. You need to make sure that these are as flat as they can possibly be. Yep. So there we have our completed pattern, ready to be cut out and then applied to fabric. So I hope that this has helped you in understanding how to print out a pattern, and the next process will be cutting, sizing and making the dress in question. So hopefully you'll come along for that video as well, and I'll see you later. Bye! I hope you found this tutorial useful, and if you did, please can you like the video and maybe even subscribe to the channel. You can find all my contact details at the end of the video, and I hope to hear from you soon. If you have any comments or suggestions for future tutorials, please just leave a comment below. Speak to you later. Bye!